What's on the docket for today?
The docket?
Yeah.
That's a neat word. Have you been reading?
I'm Taryn, this is Logan, and this is Max. Our life rarely goes as planned, and this story is no different. But we are determined to rebuild our beautiful steel boat, even stronger than she was before. And we're bringing you along with us.
Another day in the boat shed. Today I am going to be working on a few things that we want to get rid of. Oh, that's better. So yeah, there's a few things that we have to get rid of. There's this annoying electric panel here that has all of our lights, and it has a chopstick to keep them from being bumped, but they always get bumped and turned on. So we're gonna get rid of that from here. Our bow thruster control plugs into here. We're gonna get rid of this and move it up onto the nav pod so that we can just put in a button, a switch for it, and not have to plug it in all the time. This is our emergency engine shutoff, which has always been seized and is disconnected. So we're gonna take it out of here and we're gonna put a separate emergency shutdown somewhere else. So those three things have to come out of there and be moved somewhere else. But in the meantime, we're just gonna put plates in there and make that all nice and smooth again. Our VHF radio plugs into here and it sits on here, and we smash it all the time when we're sailing, and we're constantly hitting it, and the cord is half wrecked now from that. So we're gonna also move that onto the nav pod, which is this guy here. So we'll probably put the VHF over here. We don't know yet. That'll be afterwards. We're gonna get rid of this cleat and we're gonna put it over on the side. And there's also these old brackets that are also bolted through. We're gonna get rid of those because we'll no longer be needing them, and weld all those holes closed. So you can see we're getting somewhere. I've removed all the stuff here, and you can see how badly rusted that is, which we kind of knew that it was because of the bubbles. So that's not a big deal to fix.
Well, it would appear that winter has returned. It's supposed to snow today and maybe tomorrow, I think, and then supposed to go back to raining, but right now it is looking pretty white out here, as you can see. So Logan is just getting the heater running so that we can heat the shop up, and then we're going to start working on stuff in the cockpit. We want to get the welding done in the cockpit, because once that's done we can put the last coat of paint on the interior and then finish spray foaming. And then that means that we are actually really putting the boat back together instead of just pieces of it. Then it's going to be painting, which is going to be an absolutely humongous job, as well as putting all the stanchions and everything back on the boat so that we actually have a railing around it. So there's still quite a bit of work to do and a few fairly big projects, but definitely nothing as big as we've done so far. But none of it right now is going to be really impacted by the weather, other than probably our ambition levels. So that's good. We should be able to keep going even though it's like this outside. So what's on the docket for today?
The docket?
Yeah.
That's a neat word.
Isn't it?
Have you been reading?
I knew that word before, Logan, okay?
We're gonna try and take this pedestal out of here. So I wanted to check the bearings in the pedestal. We have to send our compass out to get a new bubble on it.
Plasticky thingy?
Yeah, because it's really difficult to see. And we're going to make some modifications to this guy here, as well as the base. We have to look at a better way of sealing the starboard. Like the pedestal and all of this, these stainless pipes and everything are going through a piece of starboard that is bolted to the deck. But if you've ever worked with starboard before, it is very slippery, and you can't get adhesives to adhere to it. So when it gets sealed, the adhesives just peel back and water gets under and sits between it and the steel. And you can see right here is a perfect example of that. And it creates rust. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff to deal with in this area. And we're not exactly 100% sure how we're going to do it or redo it, or if we're just going to put it back the way it was. Obviously we can't bolt the aluminum pedestal right to the steel, or that's going to cause issues as well. And it's going to make sanding this cockpit a lot easier, because it all needs to be sanded down to get rid of the single part paint system that was used on it last, because we will be putting two-part paint on top. If we have to replace any of the cockpit floor because of rust or other issues, we're going to try and move the pedestal forward about an inch, because we find, like, when we're standing behind the wheel, we're actually leaning back a little bit, and it's sort of annoying. So having that extra inch, I think, is what it would take to comfortably stand behind the wheel. And that's just continuation of getting the cockpit figured out so we can get paint on it and go back in the water.
So we're in the aft cabin, and this is where that pedestal comes through. So you can see all the cords coming through, and there is definitely some rust. I'm laying on my back in the bed, so that's why this is so awkward. So sorry about that, but yeah. You can definitely see there's a bit of rust coming through, so there's going to be some work that's going to need to be done. I have to peel back some of that spray foam and refoam it.
That there, the lower one's the throttle. So here we are under the boat. So this is one of the things that we have to fix. I can't, even though I have the nut off of here, I cannot pull that down because it's already hitting the cockpit drain. So I actually have to cut this cockpit drain out and move it, which sucks so much. Oh well, it's all part of it. And these have big ends on them, so they won't pull down through the floor. So they actually have to be unwired from wherever they go and pulled up through. Also very unfortunate. What a pain.
Well done. That was easy.
That was from our steering arm rubbing. So it's rubbed halfway through the stainless hose clamp.
Yep.
And it's rubbed through the outer layer of this cockpit drain hose. So that's how hard it was rubbing.
Yeah, that's not good.
And it's also worn out a bit of the cockpit floor, because as it goes back and forth, it's a little bit higher on one end than the other, and it hits this, and then as it comes this way, it's a little lower on the other end, and it hits this.
So what's our solution for that?
We have to cut this cockpit drain out and like move it. Actually, I think I can cut. I don't know if I can weld it fully around here. I think I might cut it out of the floor. Or like cut it from the bottom of the floor here with a zippy cut.
Okay.
And that's our steering.
Crazy, eh?
See how that wasn't even sealed?
Yeah. Huh.
And that's what's underneath there.
Cool.
See?
Yeah.
Yep. That wasn't glued down either.
No.
Nothing sticks to this stuff.
No, hey. There's sealant though. Just didn't work very well.
Yeah, the rust is the only thing that stuck to it.
The irony. The irony. Oh, I'm so funny.
Not ideal.
Nope.
But we'll see what we can do. Yeah, the sealant's really stuck to here.
Well, that's good because like maybe there's not a lot of rust on this side of that. Oh.
Yeah, I think it's still good though. I don't think it's actually taken enough material away. Yeah, so we'll be replacing some floor.
Really? Who's out? Who's out there? Okay, hold on. They're just best friends. How cute. Oh, hi, Bud Shoe. So yesterday, as you guys saw, we took the pedestal off, the steering pedestal, up in the cockpit, and we found quite a bit of rust underneath it.
Yay!
Yay, more rust. So what that means is that we have another big chunk of steel that we're going to replace. And we spent a good chunk of time yesterday trying to figure out exactly what it is that we're going to do. So there's this piece, which is what the whole pedestal sat on.
And this is starboard.
As in, the material is called starboard.
For like cutting boards.
Yeah. And so on top of like replacing the piece in the sole that's going to be 3/16, we're also going to build a new one of those out of steel and weld it onto that 3/16 plate, which we'll show you how we're going to do that.
There was a lot of fiddling around to get things properly aligned because it turns out that the pedestal had initially been installed crooked, and we didn't want that to happen again.
So Logan's going to use the hole drill to drill a hole through there.
Hole saw?
Sorry, hole saw.
The hole drill?
Hole drill.
The drill that drills holes?
Exactly. Logan's going to use the hole saw to drill holes through those guys.
I can't see what I'm looking at.
Because that...
Where's the light? There we are.
That right there is where the wires go through. What do you think, Max? Is this a good plan? Yeah, you think so. Well, that's it for this week. We definitely didn't get as far as we'd hoped this week, but at least now we know what we're doing next week. So we'll keep rebuilding this pedestal. It won't go back in the boat until all the painting is done, but it feels good to have it out of the boat anyway and actually know what's underneath it and be working on replacing what is going to be one of the last bits of rust that needs replaced on the boat.
Thanks so much for watching, liking, subscribing, and commenting. It really helps us out. And an extra shout out to our patrons for being along with us on this journey. You really make it easier to get through these projects. See you next week.